Hey everyone, and welcome to the Mark Out Moment, the channel where I talk about random things that interest me at the moment, whether you like it or not. Firstly, I'd like to thank you for the over 1,000 views my last video got. I was genuinely expecting like 27 views or something, so I have to thank you for all of that. However, only 0.7% of the people who watch the video are actually subscribed. And yes, I know most of you didn't make it close to the end, but still, it only takes 1 second to subscribe, while making a video like my last one takes way more hours than you think it does. Anyway, South Park just released the second episode of season 27 titled God and Nuts. Like the last episode of the season, this is also political commentary, but instead of specifically targeting Trump, they go after ICE and the rise of right-wing podcasters debating left-wing college students or whatever, namely Charlie Kirk. Now, this episode was interesting to say the least. I certainly have some thoughts about it, and I'll talk about them after my full episode breakdown. Now, like most South Park episodes, this one had an A plot and a B plot. Now, I have considerably less to say about the B plot than the A plot, so I'll just run through both as they happen in the episode and give their thoughts after. Let's get into it. So, the episode starts in the school, where we can see Jesus walking through the hallways, which means the school is still embracing the whole Christianity thing. We then cut to Kyle complaining to Stan about a certain person saying some bad things about Jewish people on a podcast. Wendy is also complaining about what this person has been saying about women, and Stan just tells them to leave it alone and not give him any more attention. Now, Cartman then walks in, assuming they're talking about him, but they're actually talking about Clyde, which shocks Cartman. Now, Clyde enters the school to lots of boos, but his response is just telling them to prove him wrong, sounding quite a lot like a certain podcaster, and then he invites them to come on the podcast and debate him if he has a problem with it. Carlisle even calls Clyde a fat ass, which surprises Cartman. This leads into the storyline from last episode about Cartman feeling that he's not special anymore. But instead of Woke being dead, he's worried about Clyde replacing him. We then see Clyde in the counselor's office with Mr. Mackey, who's doing an average counseling speech about why Clyde shouldn't be doing what he's doing, before PT principal walks in and reveals Mr. Mackey has been fired. Now, this isn't the first time Mr. Mackey's been fired on the show, as he was fired way back in season 2 in the episode Ike's Wee Wee for accidentally giving marijuana to students, but I was not expecting them to do something like this in this episode. Now, back during the conversation between Mr. Mackey and Clyde had said that the reason he was doing a podcast like this was because he had to make his nut, which is basically the term for how much he's spending. Now, I don't know why they called this a nut. It's probably a reference to something, but I have no idea. If you think you know, feel free to put it down in the comments. Anyway, PC Principal reveals that the reason Mr. Mackey is fired is because the government's cutting down on unnecessary spending. All schools have one counselor now, and that is Jesus Christ. Now we go to the Clyde Donovan podcast where he's interviewing Cartman. This is so funnily accurate as a parody, especially the He-Man supplement powder that he's advertising. Which, if you know anything about these podcasts, they do seem to hawk a lot of supplement and protein powders. Now, Clyde tries to debate against Cartman, but Cartman's just angry that Clyde, quote, stole his shtick. Clyde ignores him, doing an ad read for his supplement powder and advertising his hashtag respect Clyde's authority, which really pisses Cartman off. Mr. Mackey is shown in the bank talking to Benny, the bank teller. Now, we've only seen him a couple of times in the show. He's appeared in Dick and Bouse, Margaritaville, and the video games. He's the and it's gone guy.
And it's gone!
Now, Mr. Mackey is trying to figure out how big his nut is, and it ends up being around $8,000 a month. And Benny suggests he get a job with a company that's always looking for new recruits, the ICE, more commonly known as ICE. Now, Mr. Mackey doesn't want to before he hears that recruits are offered a salary of $100,000. We now get a fake ad for ICE, which I may have said in my last video that the Pro Trump ad was my favorite ad in the show's history, but I think I like this one more. I can't describe it well enough to do it justice, but if you have Paramount or anything like that, or if you can just find a clip online, you should watch this ad because it might be the funniest thing in the whole episode. We then get another episode of the Clyde Donovan podcast, where this time he's out in front of the school debating students. First up to the plate is Butters, who says that if nothing good ever came from the Jews, why are bagels so yummy? Clyde responds by asking what a woman is, which made me laugh so much. That's such a Charlie Kirk thing to say. And Butters just can't respond. Another woke student totally destroyed. Next up to the plate is this girl, who I don't think has ever had a role in the show before. If she has, please mention it in the comments because I have no idea who this person is. She asks why Clyde called the girls' soccer team a, quote, Marxist indoctrination factory. Clyde responds by saying that she's holding a phone made by the free market to complain about a system that gave it to her. Woke student totally pwned. Cartman attacks Clyde as he's livid about Clyde stealing his shtick, and Cartman is dressed fully as Charlie Kirk. He even has a haircut. Look at that. Bebe steps up to the mic to insult his haircut, where Cartman responds by, as it had to be, he quotes a Bible verse and tells her to shut up. Next, Mr. Mackey enters the ICE recruitment office looking for a job, where the waiting room is full of not exactly a collection of people I'd expect to see in a position of detaining other people, but I guess that's just ICE for you. He says that the reason he wants a job with ICE is because of his nut, and they immediately give him one. That was easy. He's shown a recruitment video featuring the head of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. She says that sometimes doing what's important means doing what's hard, and because of this, she shoots a dog in the face with a gun. Now, if you don't know the reason they're making this joke, then this could be quite confusing and or upsetting to you, as she does kill a lot more dogs in this episode. But for context, in her autobiography, she says that one time on her family farm, she killed the family dog by shooting in the face because she ate a chicken or something. I think that's what happened. Now that's the kind of person we want leading the Department of Homeland Security. Throughout the video, her face gets droopier and droopier before her Botox is reapplied. After it finishes, the group in the ICE office are immediately sent for their first raid. Wonderful. Mr. Mackey is wearing a green bandana around his face, as opposed to the black ones everyone else in the car is wearing. We then see Cartman debating some college students about abortion while sitting on the toilet. It's good at the beginning, but it gets pretty one note as it's all just jokes about how master debating sounds a lot like a certain word, which kind of takes over the storyline. After that, we get to see Mr. Mackey's very first raid, which is at a location that might be teeming with illegals, a Dora the Explorer concert. You know, for the first few seconds where the concert's shown, it's actually a pretty funny parody of Dora. But then ICE enters the building, where they proceed to capture every single person with brown skin, including Dora, killing a service dog along the way. Now that's a sentence I never thought I'd say. Afterwards, Mr. Mackey is talking to Kristi Noem, where her Botox suddenly starts melting, has to be reapplied before she strikes another pose. And there's another Cartman scene that makes the exact same master debating joke. Oh, and it doesn't really add anything to the episode, feeling like a waste of time, all for a joke that wasn't really funny in the first place. Next, we see protests against ICE in downtown Denver, where someone being interviewed says the sentence, "I have no doubt that there are many, many Latinos in heaven." Well, true, you shouldn't have said that, should ya? Because afterwards, ICE raids heaven. Great! Christy says that she'll recommend Mr. Mackey for a bonus from the president before her face falls off. It is caught and put on with the wonderful tool of Botox. We cut to the Charlie Kirk Awards for Young Master Debaters, which is won by Clyde, angering Carmen. Now, I really wish there was more I could say about this scene, but there really isn't. It's just the same master debating jokes they've been making the whole episode. Back to the bank we go, where Mr. Mackey finds out that somehow his nut has gotten bigger, because the more money you make, the bigger your nut gets. ICE enters the bank, but instead of raiding, they're just looking for Mr. Mackey as Christy wants to talk to him. She says that the president wants to help him with his nut in Mar-a-Lago. After they go there, we get an appearance of Donald Trump with JD Vance at his side, who they've kind of turned into a generic, diminutive little servant, which was pretty funny. He offers Mackey a promotion as the new face of Homeland Security as Christy Noma's face creeps him out. We see Satan again, and Mr. Mackey runs away from the scene. He runs into a few different rooms, first seeing some old guy getting a massage, and then seeing a different old guy getting a massage, but this time from Dora the Explorer, before running straight into a room where Clyde is sitting as part of his Charlie Kirk Award, was an all-expenses-paid vacation at a 5-star resort. Now Clyde says that he feels he's had enough and he never wanted any of this, which convinces Mr. Mackey to sit down and do what he does best. Be a goddamn counselor. He gives easily the best and most genuine speech he's ever given in the show, and Clyde actually listens to him. Clyde then reminds Mr. Mackey of who he is, and they agree to escape Mar-a-Lago. But they're gonna need a hero to help save the day. And who else would it be but Crypto from Superman? He's flying in, ready to make a heroic rescue before being shot out of the air by Christy Noam. Which, this was a joke I somehow predicted right before it happened, and yet I still laughed at it. She confronts Trump for trying to replace her before her face starts to melt, and then it falls off again, but this time they can't catch it in time, and it starts zipping through the entire resort. As Mr. Mackey, Clyde, and Dora see this opportunity to make their escape. Christy puts her face back on and strikes one last pose, as she's surrounded by resort goers, ICE, Trump, and JD, singing Hark the Herald Angels Sing for some reason. Now, the final scene of the episode is a scene I'm pretty sure you can only see if you're watching it on Paramount Plus, but you didn't miss much, as it's just Christy Nome walking into a pet sanctuary and killing every single dog in there with a gun as the credits roll, and that's the episode. Now, I have some opinions about this, and if you click on this video, you basically consented to having to listen to them, so why don't we get into that? So, this episode had a lot of good things, but it was far from perfect. The Mackie storyline was good, but it wasn't great. The Christy Noam parody was funny, and the scenes at the beginning were good, but the ice takedown didn't really hit as hard as the last episode's Trump attack. And as for the Cartman storyline, it was really good for the first few scenes. Cartman being jealous of Clyde, the Charlie Kirk parody, it was going great. And then they decided to take the funny and interesting plot and make it just one joke. This entire storyline, one joke. And it wasn't even that funny a joke. This pissed me off more than it should have because I was liking the episode. It wasn't as good as Sermon on the Mount, but it was good. And my favorite part of the episode was ruined. Now, this episode is still good, but I'm just disappointed. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. It really helps more than you know. Also, when the channel reaches 50 subs, I will be creating a Discord server for the channel, so make sure to subscribe if you want that to happen. Now, I've been Sakuri, this is the Mark Out Moment, and I'll see you next time.